still life and landscape. Those are my two favorite genres. I was born in California. I grew up in Goshen, Mississippi, which is right on the Gulf Coast, a little small town. I was fortunate enough to grow up right on the water. I had a little john boat and a little 5 horsepower motor, and I'd go out and we'd go crabbing, we'd go fishing, we'd go oystering. That was kind of my summer camp, was just spending all that time in nature. And as I got older, started being interested in art, I always knew what I wanted to paint would be nature. One of the best parts of landscape is showing incredible depth. It doesn't come naturally. You see it naturally. You can understand it naturally when you're seeing it in nature. But to translate all that depth onto a two-dimensional surface takes time, it takes energy, and takes study. There's different types of perspective. There's linear perspective, there's atmospheric perspective, there's color perspective, which is kind of more complicated. These are different ways of showing depth on a two-dimensional surface. I studied under Oscar Ozals at the New Orleans Academy of Fine Arts, but also studying through observation and just starting to see and starting to understand. It takes a lot of work to do it, but it's a lot of fun once you know how. I would consider myself to be kind of a classic realist. It's representational painting, but it's not photorealism. I feel that there's expression in the bold strokes, and then at the end I come in a little bit tighter. But there's still paint on the surface, there's still that quality that you can see. The problem with learning how to the craft of painting is that you tend to want to be very representational once you learn it. As I get older, you start to back down and you start to become a little looser and less interested in just the craft and more interested in the emotional part. One of my favorite subjects is clouds, and one of my favorite foregrounds is the Mississippi River. I love having large cumulus nimbus clouds, the big ones that are coming, that are the most dramatic. They have the rain, the lightning, they have the thunder. They are the grandfathers of the clouds. And I love having the Mississippi River at the bottom. I love the fact that we can have this incredibly large container ship that's only this big. It's just and the cloud is gigantic. It's this wonderful play on what we think as humans is big. Nature is 5 times larger. And here in New Orleans, we are very familiar with nature. And with every summer, we all get ready for the hurricane season. We are always reminded how precarious we are, this little tiny sliver of land surrounded by all this water. In a way, I like for my landscapes to be a metaphor for this nature versus our little sliver of land at the bottom. Another one of my favorite still life subjects is the oyster, specifically the oyster shell. It's a fantastic, simple little creation. We all know the mother of pearl, and all the colors of the rainbow are contained in it. It's subtle, it's beautiful. The shell for the creature itself, it's magnificent. The grays inside the shell are surrounded by greens and purples and little subtleties of color. I'm often painting them in series like that with the shells, and also I love putting lemon wedges because the strong yellow light versus all the subtle colors in the oyster. The crab on the tomato is a nice little piece. What's interesting is that the idea of putting it on the tomato is simply a fact. I'm trying to take this crab that was alive very recently and make it look a little bit more alive as well. It was more of a practical situation of trying to figure out a way, instead of having the crab just laying flat on the surface. And I noticed that by lifting him up a little bit, you're adding some more character to it, you're adding a little bit more narrative to it because it looks like it's more alive. I'm much more interested in this not as a piece of food, but more as a living creature. The blue crab is incredible too. It has worked so hard to create all these beautiful colors, every single color of the rainbow. The reds, the oranges, and the blues, and the pinks, everything. We think of it as this kind of this creepy thing that's crawling around the mud, but it's working really hard to become this incredibly beautiful thing. So to achieve the effect of water, or to understand the shape and to paint clouds, once you understand painting, it's just like everything else. It's value, and it's drawing, and it's design. A drop of water is, we perceive it to be a certain thing, but in reality, it's just a value and some edge quality. The crawfish on the garlic, or crawfish riding a garlic, it almost looks like. In the garlic itself, you can see at the end, the highest value is almost pure white, just laid on in a very thick manner. Or the highlights along the back of the crawfish, again, are laid on there. I'm from the school of thought that says drawing is everything. I'm constantly drawing. I usually work wet on wet, a la prima, meaning that you're working very quickly, almost one sitting. Sometimes I'll do all the painting in one sitting by putting down thinner layers at the beginning and then fatter layers on top of that and heavier layers on top of that. You're able to get a lot of depth within the painting, even in one sitting. Sometimes a week later I'll realize, it needs a little something here, it needs a little something there.